1. My dad died. Classic start to a funny story. He was buried in a small village in Sussex. I was really close to my dad, so I visited his grave a lot. I still do. Don't worry, it gets funnier. I always took flowers, and my mum visited a lot, and she always took flowers, and my grandparents were still alive then and they always took flowers. My dad's grave frequently resembled a solid third place at the Chelsea Flower Show. Nice, but I felt bad for the guy buried next to my dad. He never had flowers. Died on Christmas Day aged 37. No one left him flowers, and now there's a pop-up florist in the grave next door. So I started buying him flowers. I started buying flowers for a deceased man I'd never met. I did this for quite some time, but I never mentioned it to anyone. It was a little private joke with myself. I was making the world a better place, one bunch of flowers at a time. I know it sounds weird, but I came to think of him as a friend. I wondered if there was a hidden connection between us, something secretly drawing me to him. Maybe we went to the same school, played for the same football club or whatever. So I googled his name, and 10 seconds later I found him. His wife didn't leave him flowers because he'd murdered her. On Christmas Day. After he murdered his wife, he murdered her parents too. And after that he jumped in front of the only train going through Balcombe Tunnel that Christmas night. That was why no one ever left him flowers. No one except me, of course. I left him flowers. I left him flowers every couple of weeks. Every couple of weeks for 2.5 years. I felt terrible for his wife and her parents. Now, I wasn't going to leave them flowers every couple of weeks for 2.5 years, but I did feel like I owed them some sort of apology. I found out where they were buried, bought flowers and drove to the cemetery. As I was standing at their graves mumbling apologies, a woman appeared behind me. She wanted to know who I was and why I was leaving flowers for her aunt and grandparents. Awkward. I explained and she said, "Okay, that's weird but quite sweet." I said thanks. Yes, it is a bit weird, and oh God, I asked her out for a drink. Incredibly, she said yes. 2 years later she said yes again when I asked her to marry me, because that is how I met my wife. End.